Welcome to episode 3 of Follow the Water Travels. I'm Faith, my husband Brian, and today's episode we're going to do a recap of how we got here, living on our boat during the summer, traveling during the winter, selling everything we own to do that, and our journey to monetizing YouTube. So how did we come to this decision to sell everything we own and live on the boat and travel?
Well, we decided that we had enough resources to do it, and that we were young enough that we still wanted to be able to travel and do things. I haven't traveled to many places in this world, and I know that I had wanted to see more, do more while we were physically able to. I'm in my 50s, Faith is in her 40s, and we feel like we're young enough that we can go wherever we want to go and still be able to deal with the airports and hotel and luggage. And we already live on a boat for part of the summer, so we felt like it was something that we wanted to do. So we just started thinking about it. We watched some people on YouTube, and we just started making a plan, and then we just started executing it little by little.
There was a catalyst. That there was like a breaking point where we said we need to do something different. Like most people, we work. It's the majority of our life. Come home, eat, relax, maybe watch a little TV, go to sleep, get up and do it again the next day. Because we're also business owners, there's a lot of additional work, evening work, weekend work. It's almost 24/7. There's no turning it off. And the great news is being business owners allows us to do this. The downside is being business owners is the reason we need to do this, because the stress is really, really high. And for years, I always operate on full steam ahead, and I'm like, I'm so overwhelmed. So what do? We expand our business, which is more overwhelming. And we expand our business, which is more overwhelming. And I went to the doctor thinking I needed a little breathing treatment because my inhaler wasn't working. And my typical low heart rate and low blood pressure was extremely high. And they did an EKG, and he said, my lungs are cleared, but the level of stress that our life is under on a regular basis, year after year after year, will likely result in me having a heart attack in my 40s. So we need to, make some serious changes to what we're doing. And so that's kind of what got us here. I went to visit one of my friends not long after that, and I found a book called The 4-Hour Work Week, and it's literally how to work from anywhere and live in other places where, what is it called? Geo arbitrage, where you make money in US dollars and spend it in, lower cost countries where your dollar goes further, and you don't necessarily need to work as long or as hard or make as much. So we don't need to continue to scale the growth of our business to increase our lifestyle or maintain a lifestyle. We can continue to make what we make, work at a lower stress level, and enjoy our lives in other places. So it's kind of how we got to where we are. So what do we do so far? Like Brian said, we did a feasibility, kind of talking through all of the what ifs. And we realized we really should sell everything. We sold the car.
Kind of recap from a previous video. So we ended up selling one of our cars first, getting rid of that. That saved us quite a bit of money per month. And we had done that a couple years ago. We had went down to one car because we work in the same business and go to the same places. So in all reality, we only needed one car. And if there was a period of time where we might need something to go somewhere, to a doctor appointment, and somebody had to be at work, we would just Uber or take a Lyft, and it costs $10-20 where we live, and it wasn't a lot of money. It saved us a lot because most of the time our second car sat in the garage and just collected dust. So first we got rid of the car.
And who did we sell that through?
Carvana.
Yeah, so I think you put it in the app and just watched it, and it would give you updates on the value of it, and it got to a point where it was just high enough that it made sense, and you pulled the trigger on it, right?
Yep, got rid of it. They came, picked it up, and that was the end of it. They paid it off. They did a great job. There was no problems, no concerns.
Yeah, cakewalk.
We had done it one other time before when we went down to one car, and through a different company. I don't remember the name of it, but that went pretty smooth too. So it's amazing what you can do in this day and age with even these companies like Carvana, if you want to sell your car or get a car. I know a neighbor across the street from us had bought one from Carvana. They dropped it off. It seemed like they were happy.
And this isn't a plug for Carvana. We don't have any affiliation with them, but if they want to sponsor a video, we wouldn't be opposed to it.
Yeah.
We have used them and we liked it, but you know, we actually sold the car very early in the year. Like now it's the end of June 2024. We sold the car beginning of March.
Yeah.
Just because the value, the price that they were willing to give us at that point, it made sense rather than to hang on to it until we, you know, were ready to leave. And it was a lower value. So we were able to get through with one car. So it wasn't really a big deal. The next thing we started doing was really selling all of our belongings, clearing out our house, preparing it for sale, you know, to be staged and all of that. So Facebook Marketplace was great. We didn't have a yard sale until after we were under contract with the house. But we sold our house, put it up. Brian used to be a realtor, so he sold it for us.
Right.
Saved us
quite a bit of money.
Yeah, thousands and thousands and thousands.
Still
of
had to pay the
dollars.
buyer's agent, which is fine.
Yep.
They did bring the buyer, but we ended up doing that. But yeah, we also used Poshmark and eBay to sell some of our different things, clothing items and maybe jewelry or watches and just different things that had some
higher-end
value.
items.
And so we got rid of a lot of stuff through that. And then it came down to the end where we ended up donating a lot to the Salvation Army, to Goodwill.
And here's a good tip. One of our friends on our dock, told us that the Salvation Army came and just took whatever they had. They scheduled a pickup, and it was great. It was not like other agencies where you schedule them to come and they don't come. Salvation Army came. They backed up a truck with 2 guys, and we had an entire family room full of stuff that was slated for donation, and they packed it all in. It couldn't have been more pleasant. It went to a good cause. We got a receipt for our taxes, which is nice. But that was really helpful. We didn't have to truck a bunch of stuff back and forth to donation centers or donation boxes or any of that. They came in and did a huge pickup for us.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah, it helped out a lot because as you start going through things in the basement of your house that you haven't seen in a decade or more.
That we thought we really, really needed when we put them down there when we moved from our last house.
Right, and we didn't. And it was a lot of work, a lot of grueling work, a lot of time spent going through personal items. But we whittled it down to a few things, and so now we sit with just whatever we can fit on the boat, and it's very freeing. I feel very good about that.
Yeah, for sure.
But it was a lot of work, and I'm happy it's done.
Yeah, for sure. So now we are living on our boat full time. It's the most relaxed I think we've been in years and years and years. Still do some remote work, checking on the businesses, but kind of backing out of the day-to-day operations and letting the people we hired for those roles do their roles has been very nice. You know, it's like a little neighborhood down here. Our boat neighbors have become our friends over the years. You know, so we get up in the morning, we have coffee together and hang out a little bit. The only thing we don't have on our boat is a washer dryer, but our marina has it. So yesterday I went up to the marina store and I sat at a table in the slipholders lounge area and I did the laundry while I worked on my laptop. So that was nice. They have Wi-Fi up there, but for down here we just we hotspot off of our phones to work. We increased our phone plans. You want to talk about the TV situation? How we get television anywhere?
So currently we have just a couple small TVs on the boat, and we hotspot through our cell phones, which you can do, and then you use a Fire Stick, and you're able to, you know, get your stuff that you want, you know, Peacock or Prime or Netflix. You can watch all that stuff. And then we have an antenna that we can get the local stations through also. We can't get everything through the hotspot. It's not quite as fast as, you know, our home internet was through Verizon, but it works enough that we watch the shows that we want to watch. And I mean, it's more social down here than say at your house, so the chances of watching TV are slimmer. We don't watch as much TV, which is probably a good thing. We maybe watch a little at night, or if it's raining out, we watch some TV. But other than that, we don't really watch that much down here. We probably watch 10% of what we used to watch at home. We have a lot more activities here to do with more people, and so I find that that's somewhat refreshing too.
It is. It's nice to not watch the news.
Yeah, we do not watch news. We may watch the news a little more in some certain areas that maybe for traveling, we want to make sure that there's nothing going on in an area that we
No
want
hot
to travel.
spots.
Yeah, no hot spots. We want to travel to a nice, safe spot when we relax more on the road. But the day-to-day news for us, sad to say, is very depressing, and it doesn't enhance our life at all.
No, it definitely doesn't.
So,
So what have we done since we've been on the boat? We're living on the boat, day-to-day stuff. We opened a Schwab account though, so we cashed the check, the proceeds from our house. Brian opened a Schwab account, and you want to talk about what we're doing with that? What the intention is?
Yeah, the intention is to have a travel card, have money access, and no international fees when you withdraw money from an account. So that's why we specifically opened up a Schwab account. From what I understand, they will, and we have not done this yet, so it's something going to be new for us. When you do a transaction overseas, they will credit you whatever that was up to
International transaction fees.
whatever the amount, up to a certain amount of dollars. So that way it doesn't impact you, pulling money. We live near the Canadian border, and we took a weekend with some friends and went up there and used our regular bank card, and we got all kinds of international transaction fees from using our card. So yeah, by using the Schwab account, that should eliminate some of that problem.
Yeah, it's not too bad for a weekend, but if we're going to live over there for a couple months, that's a lot of transactions.
Yeah, we don't want to have to deal with that.
Fees. Yeah.
Right. And I'm sure there's credit cards that you can use that we haven't got into yet, but I do know that the Schwab account will help us out a lot. And then we invest that money, and that's mostly our retirement. And then we also have a checking account through Schwab, which that's where our withdrawals will come through, is through the checking account. But we'll have direct deposits and everything go from there. Currently, we're using another local bank, and there are transaction fees for international travel through that. So we won't be using that while we're abroad.
Yeah. The other thing that we did was we set up a virtual mailbox. So we did a lot of research on which ones to use, because you can use them as your quote-unquote residential address for things like voter registration, taxes, all of those things. So I did get one in New York State because our businesses are also in New York State, and I really didn't do the research to determine whether or not having a quote-unquote address, a virtual address in another state, would impact or complicate our business or taxes. But frankly, I didn't have the bandwidth to figure it out, so I didn't bother. I just got one in New York. So far, so good. We forwarded our mail to it. And what they do is they scan the envelope to you. They scan the contents of the envelope. I just downloaded, we got some IRS notifications. I downloaded them to my computer. So, I have a filing system, an electronic filing system for things that I need to manage. So I downloaded them, right down to we recently got a Sheridan vacation promotion, and they open it up, and every part of the card or the little booklet they send you is scanned in. So we can see that, and then I just elect to have those things shredded. Once I download them, we can receive packages, and they will forward them to anywhere we ask. They also have a business center, so I can email a document and they'll print it off and mail it, or I can upload it to be faxed. Although we do have an electronic fax service of our own for our businesses, so that's no big deal. But there's a lot of things you can do with it, and it is a recognized address by the government. So we can register a vehicle for there, or get our passports using that address and things like that, where even if you get a USPS post office box, or UPS and FedEx, they offer things like virtual mailboxes. Those are not recognized. So not all of them are, some of them are, some of them are not, but this business in particular, we're using Traveling Mailbox, I think is the name of it. And so far so good. It's doing what we needed. They had a couple different tiers we could pick from because of the amount of mail that we get for our businesses. I think I did get the top tier, and I'll manage really what we have going through and determine if that's necessary, after a couple months. But so far so good. I've been pretty happy with it, and honestly, I like just being able to see it on my phone and download it versus having to scan things in that I don't want to keep, because I hate the paper. So everything goes through there. We set up a lot of our mail to just paperless. So card statements and bank statements, things like that, we get paperless anyway. So the next thing is for our business things to start having them electronic. Have them, anything does have to be paper, inspections, things like that for the business. We'll direct those directly to our business locations where our home is our corporate center for things like that before. But anything else is just going to be given our virtual mailbox address. So it can go there and we'll get it from anywhere in the world, and I can have it forwarded anywhere. If I really truly need a hard copy of something, we can really have it sent anywhere. So that's working out great.
Yeah.
The only other things I think that we've dealt with are, a few minor boat issues. It's just like having a house. One of our refrigerators is on the fritz.
Yep.
So now we're looking for a replacement for that. We had a little shower issue. Our shower wasn't pumping out. We just needed to clean out the strainer. It's nothing we've done in the last 3 years. So surprise, kind of gets mucked up in there.
Yeah, the shower head wasn't spraying correctly, so we just got some new parts for the shower head. So those will be in hopefully today. We can rebuild that. Yeah,
it's really it's not as enjoyable to take a shower when it comes out like a hose faucet. And then in trying to fix it, the on-off broke. So now it sprays out the on-off holes and the shower hose. So we have a replacement head coming, being sent to one of our friends who's nice enough to receive our Amazon package for us. So there's always something. And I think maybe next time we'll do a boat tour after I've made the bed.
I just hooked up Bluetooth. So our boat's from 2003. And it had the old style radio head in it and CD changer from the day. So we upgraded to a Bluetooth module on the radio now. So now we can be a little more up to date and keep up with some of our friends in the area that we don't have to listen just to the radio or a CD, which we didn't have many CDs. So that's working great. But there's always, with a boat, there's always going to be some maintenance, and it's helpful if you can be a little mechanically inclined or at least try to fix some things yourself, so it doesn't quite cost as much. But you don't necessarily have to. Even in these marinas, there's many different types of mechanics that'll come around and give you a hand or help out or whatever it is. We had some engine work done a couple weeks ago. So like a house, a boat requires maintenance. Not only the basic maintenance that you have to do every year for engine work and stuff, but in winterization, but everything's going to break. I mean, nothing lasts forever. So we always plan on that and are prepared and don't get too upset about it. We're just like, oh, well, that went after 20 some years, so I guess it's time to put a new one in.
Well, and I think not having a 40-hour a week work schedule plus anymore is kind of freeing. We could pay somebody to replace our fridge, but I think we're like, I don't know, let's just tinker around. Let's get the new fridge and we'll figure it out. We have to be able to figure out more and more of this stuff anyway. We used to pay somebody to do it because, frankly, we didn't have the time for that type of thing. And when we were down here on the weekends, it's not what we want to spend our time doing. A little bit of free time we had. But we have a lot more free time now. So we're going to figure it out. We have a trip planned. We're going up north of the city next week. To stay in a little canal town with some friends for 4th of July week, which will be fun. And then we're going to take a trip up the Erie Canal later in end of July, early August.
Right. Yeah.
So that'll be fun. We'll
do some videos on that and how we did that and what we do. And I'm sure other cities have very different areas that you can take your boat to and dock. And this isn't necessarily a boating video. It's just how we're utilizing our summertime months and cutting down a lot of our expenses. I know a lot of people that retire. There's so many different ways that you can retire. You don't have to do what everybody else is doing. I had somebody ask me if we were going to be retiring to Florida or buying a house in Florida. And there's a lot of people that like that and they enjoy it. That's good. But for us, we want to do something a little different. So during the summer months, we're going to live on the boat here in Buffalo and enjoy that. And in the winter months, we're going to travel and go to areas that are probably as warm, if not warmer, very tropical, and it won't cost us the same price as in the U.S. dollars to go to Florida, maybe a fraction or a third of the price, and still enjoy it and see
the world
and see different cultures. I think that's important, to see cultures and see how other people live, how they do it, how they survive. The U.S. isn't the only way to live, and I think it would be so interesting to see people in Thailand or Malaysia or Vietnam or Portugal or somewhere in Europe, like how they live and how they survive. And we've watched quite a few videos over the years of different cultures, and sometimes it seems very much like the U.S. They're dropping their kids off at school or daycare, and then other ways you're like, wow, they're closed on Sundays. You know, nothing's open on Sundays, and everybody's with their family. So I think it'd be interesting for us to do that, and we're starting out, and like for me, it's very freeing that we're starting this journey
and to have so few belongings. I mean, once you have to touch everything you own and make a decision on where it's going to go because you're not keeping it, you realize really how much just stuff, unnecessary stuff you've accumulated. They don't even remember you have anymore. And it's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
We went on vacation in January to Aruba with some friends, and we were starting to think about potentially doing this. So that was January 2024, and we had read the book 4-Hour Work Week, and it seemed while we were there, we made a conscious effort to not buy souvenirs. I think every time we went on vacation, we'd always buy a Christmas tree ornament or stuff, and we just made a decision. Like, I even practiced packing. I rolled my clothes in my suitcase. I went with a very small suitcase and just a carry-on, and it was my test. Like, can I live out of a carry-on suitcase? Where I don't know necessarily we're going to do that going forward, just because of the length of time we're going to be gone. But I did it, and we had to wash my clothes like once while we were there. But we didn't come home with a lot of extra stuff because I didn't have the room for it. So we didn't come home with all these tchotchkes and breakable items and things that were just going to end up in the basement eventually anyways.
Although I will say the Christmas ornament thing made me sad.
Yeah.
It was the first time we had ever traveled somewhere and didn't get a Christmas ornament, and that was sentimental to me because that's what I did with my kids growing up. And at one point when they were younger, it was cool. And then it became the point where, like, this is kind of silly, Mom. But now as adults, when they travel, they get a Christmas ornament from where they're from or where they are visiting and bring it home. And then every year when you decorate your tree, it's like, oh, remember when we went here? Oh, I remember when this happened. It's like a little walk down memory lane. So, but I feel like we'll just remember it differently, you know? So, but it is nice not to have all these things. We kept some very personal, sentimental things. My son was nice enough to keep some things at his house for us. And then we just have some things on the boat. Frankly, we still have too many things. I'm already annoyed by it, just because, you know, we have a relatively large boat, but as far as storage goes, it's not a 4-bedroom house. So I can already tell you, like, I have a suitcase of clothes that Brian's like, do you really need this here? And I'm like, yes, I do. But I'm trying hard not to open it, because if I don't open it in a couple months, that means I never needed it. But if I open it, it's like Pandora's box. And
I think it's understandable. I mean, we just went from a 4-bedroom house down to a boat, and I mean, it's a decent sized boat. It's a 34-foot. It's got several sleeping areas and a full shower. The upstairs is nice, but there's only just so much storage space, and it's especially for large items, clothing, and we don't have a lot. So I mean, I think over the summer we're going to be starting to whittle down even more. And then what we travel with when we go overseas is going to be, you know, basically 2 suitcases each. It's going to be a carry-on and a one that we can check. And, you know, I think when we first start out, the check bag, from we listen to other people, they're like, they get rid of the check bag. But I don't know, I think for the first time going out, we're going to probably carry a little more stuff than we normally would.
I feel like we're going to have to learn the hard way that we don't need all this stuff.
And we may change that and get a larger carry-on or something, but I think at this point it's just we're gonna figure it out as time goes on and give ourselves a little grace that, you know, we have so much stuff still that
it's not a 4-bedroom house full of stuff.
Yeah, but it's definitely not that much. I mean, we have very minimal compared to what, and a lot of the stuff will stay on the boat when we store it. We'll vacuum seal it down and get it in a good spot, and we also have a little dinghy that we're gonna have to find a home for. That's an inflatable dinghy that we tool around in the marina a little bit, have fun with. But I think we'll get it all together eventually by the end of the summer. I mean, it's still only June of 2024 right now, and
early on.
It's very exciting for me. I would give this I see in your notes you got a 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10 for me.
10 out of 10 for me also.
Yeah.
I think we get up in the morning and have our coffee as we sit there and look around at the marina and watch the seagulls and the birds and the fishermen going out in the morning, and
we have the most beautiful sunsets here at night.
great sunsets and
great friends, live music.
a lot of sun. We've been getting tan pretty quickly. Up north here, we're usually pretty pale, and pretty quickly our friends are noticing that we're getting very tan, and but we are exposed to a fair amount of sun, but it's not like we're laying out in the sun by any means. It's just
but you live by
reflects
the
off the
water,
water.
you're outside a lot.
So,
But so far so good. And honestly, shout out to Brian and Carrie and Rob and Allie, because we watch them religiously.
Grounded Life Travel.
Yep. And even the retirement travelers. We watch them, and I think Brian and Carrie are the reason why our first stop is going to be Thailand. And Rob and Allie, we have our card stack and our point system that we're ready to kick off. So that's been a really big help. So we'll see if we execute it as well as they do, because they're living the life. So we're next.
Yeah. So stay tuned for more updates. We will add any links below that we can for some of the things that we use, maybe the mailbox and some other stuff that we've Carvana. But we have, like I said, no affiliation with them. Other than that, we're just utilizing them. But stay tuned, and we'll let you know. Probably the next video will be when we go on our trip
next week
down the river here, and stay at one of the local docking areas and get ready for the 4th of July weekend, and how we do that, and we'll go from there.
All right. Happy travels.
Happy travels. Bye.